Hi, I'm Karen Neenan, and I have lived in this area since 1986. I live between Prescott and Hastings on a small hobby farm. The way I became aware of HPAC is through Kathy O'Keefe, who I worked with for 18 years at Kennedy Elementary School. And you know Kathy is HPAC's president. I have volunteered at the gala for the last few years, and what I love about it is I'm always amazed at the diverse forms of art that are at the auction and how HPAC is reaching out to bring art and culture to new places. I think there's so much value in making space for art and culture in our lives. When a child or an adult is working on art, their mind can focus with intensity and let the peripheral fade away. I have seen this happen for so many students and that I've worked with, and I know it's true for myself and for other adults that I know. When we create with our hands, our minds and our body are there too. My daughters benefited greatly from participating in performing arts. When they were teenagers, they gained confidence, they gained friends, and so many other things from those opportunities. So, I'm happy to be part of helping to give opportunities to Hastings, Prescott area students and adults, and the way I'm going to do it is through a short lesson on 2 hand bouquets. So, here I go. So the first hand bouquet, I'm going to do what I call using block color. I'm going to set this up so that I just have blocks of color, and yeah, let's see how that goes. So what I did was gathered this stuff from my garden. So I know that a lot of the things that you'd see here would probably be available right now at farmers markets, which, you know, Hastings has the market on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And you could go to a place like Cub Foods. You could buy, I would probably buy 2 bouquets or buy a bouquet and a set of greenery, and you could create this at your house. So here we go, starting with zinnias, which of course is the old-fashioned flower standby. I'm starting with this because this is my brightest color. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 things here, and one of the great rules of flower arranging and other art is oftentimes odd numbers work better than even. Not always, but usually. So I'm just going to gather these into a bouquet of wild orange colors. And I'll putz with this as I go. When I'm arranging a hand bouquet, I try to make my stems at an angle because I want to open it up. And sometimes that's tricky because your stems don't always want to do what you want them to do. So here's my start. I might have too many, might take some out. So then here's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to put my yellow in because that's another big block of color. And notice the stems. I have pulled off all of the leaves because the leaves will muddy the water, and you don't want all that in there. You want the water going up into the bloom while it's in the vase. So these are kind of funny flowers. They stick together. This is kind of a brown-eyed Susan. And I might have to cut these apart because you can see that they're all hung together here. And these are always kind of tricky. Today I'm just going to throw all my junk on the floor because I'm actually in the old barn that is on this place, and behind me is a wall of doors that we spent a lot of time having fun with and putting up. The fun part was the painting. Putting them up was not fun in my world. So I'm not going to use all this right away because I think I'm going to end up doing 2 blocks of this color. Let's see if I'm right. Now let's see if I've got enough here. This looks pretty tight. There's that. And the other day I did a bouquet similar to this, and you know what? I noticed after it was done is I had this too close. I'm going to drop this down so that when I have my other stuff in here, they're working together. Now, this, you know, if you went to the store, you bought your bouquet, and you're like, I don't have any greenery. This is hosta. You probably all know that. And I would just augment with whatever I bought at the store. So I think what I'll do is hold this off for the moment and already start feeding my greenery in here because I want to divide my colors. I don't just want blossom. I want something in between to tell me that my eye can have a little rest. So, there we go. I'm just kind of feeding these in. And then I'm going to, again, get my block of yellow. And I'm trying to, again, to make it all kind of twist as I go. And this one won't stay in there. I need something in between there still. Sometimes you have to set it down and restart. And I can always adjust that a little bit later too. So here we go. So now I've kind of got the blocks together. And this is very common. You're going to have to pull stuff up in order to make it work. And that's tricky. I'm trying to hold it loosely as I go. So, the other thing that I did was I went out and I got some oats because I want something that's not rounded. That's going to give me some interest. So I went out and I gathered some oats from my garden. Now you could use grasses. I know a lot of people have tall grasses in their garden that are ornamental grasses. You could do that. You could use bulbs from something that's gone to seed. Anyway, think about it. Something kind of interesting would work. And I'm going to keep feeding these in here. And this too, I tried to get most of the leaves off. So here we're going. Somehow my yellow has lodged itself in there too tightly. So, again, like I said, I need my greenery to give me a break. This is kind of the continuity in this bouquet. The other thing that I thought about was, since it's fall, I'm going to use some little crab apples that I took off my tree. Now I spent the time to yank off all the leaves, but that's kind of a cool texture to put in there. Now, I think it's going to need another set of yellow here because I'm trying to kind of tone down this much orange. So, well, this happens when you're doing a bouquet. The yellow at first seems like it's playing a minor role, but notice I'm using a heck of a lot of it because I've got such bright orange going on here. And I'm getting pretty thick here. My hand is getting pretty full. So, I think I might have too much orange. I'm going to pull out a little bit. Let's see how that goes. And this, cool stuff here. I'm just gonna put this in at the end. What I'm doing now is I'm looking at these two vases, which I thought, that's about the size that I want for my bouquet. And I think this is so thick that I can use a thicker vase. When I'm short on stuff, I always look to the center because that's kind of like the rubber band that's holding this together. If I have an open vase like this one, of course it's going to fall. And sometimes it looks really meager. So let's just see how this looks. I'm going to add one more set of yellow. Really give that. And maybe another one too. It's here, why not use it? Besides that, I'm going to give it another green. And that one went sideways. Again, like I said, sometimes it's really hard to make these guys do what you want them to do. Okay. So I'm kind of looking at this and I've got way too much here. Move this out of the way. Move this over here. And I'm just going to start clipping close to what I think is going to be the right size. When I was gathering this stuff from the garden, I thought about a little seminar I went to once with a well-known flower, I guess he was a landscape artist, who said, one of my favorite sayings when I'm spending money on buying flowers, you must pauper yourself for your garden. So if you're feeling like you shouldn't spend money, just think about that, paupering yourself for your garden. I'm not to that point yet. So this is looking pretty full. But I think it'd be kind of cool yet to throw some of these wiggly little apples in here. I think I got this in the way, you can't see as well as I can. Kind of think about what you got that you wouldn't normally put in a bouquet, and who knows what you'll come up with. Okay, let's grab one out in front. All right, let's see. Okay, could I added more of this, but I think I'll leave it at that because this is a bit overfull already, and I might choose to pull out another flower just because I feel like I'm really stuffing them in there. So we kind of have our blocks of color. And that really looks fall, right? So that was my first bouquet. Now, the next one is going to be a bouquet that is going to be what most people think of as a bouquet, and it's going to just be things kind of methodically orderly put together. You can call flowers orderly. Let me get rid of this first. Let's see, what else can I say about flower arranging? Like I said, usually working in odd numbers makes things go better. And again, I'm looking at these two vases thinking either one of these is going to be the right size. What I'm using today for the second one, I'm only using 3 kinds of flowers. But because of the height, it's going to look like, whoa, she's really going after it there. Here's what I've got. First thing, this is actually very easy to grow, is celosia. And celosia is probably I haven't been to the farmer's market in the last month or so, but I imagine that this is coming in big time because it's easy to grow, it's kind of wild and beautiful, and Who knows? I'd be selling it if I was at the farmer's market. This is called Solomon seal, variegated Solomon seal. And you know what? It's coming to the end of its best form here, but that won't matter so much because I've got such a bright flower here to kind of make you not see that anymore. So I've got one more thing, and this is hydrangeas. This is called pink diamond. So what I'm going to do is have a tall bouquet, and I'm just going to layer these in bit by bit. I'm going to start with a big, bright, beautiful. See, I think I got to get rid of this because I need that space. Big, bright, pink center. And again, I already took a lot of leaves off of this at the base, and I still have a lot. And I can take some, so I'm going to start with the bright center, and then the next thing I'll do is put some hydrangea in there. And I think the problem here is I have one that has a whole bunch hooked together. Yep, that's why everybody's getting stuck in here. Just cut these off. All right. So here's my center. I'm going to build around my center. Here's my other big tall stuff. I want to try to keep this one a little taller because I'm building to kind of round and round and round. You know, one thing about hydrangeas that I learned just lately is, you know, if you go pick a snowball hydrangea, you'll notice it'll wilt in no time. One thing you can do to change that is to, first of all, soak it in water, just the whole thing in a bucket of water. Or you could mist it, if it's too tall, you could just mist it with water until you've got it pretty soaked. And do that a couple of times, and then use it in your bouquet. Because otherwise it's going to just turn into kind of a sad little weepy heap. So, I'm already getting big here. I kind of think I'm going to end up using that one, even though I thought I'd use the other one. I'm just going to keep, again, pushing these at an angle if I can. And you can see that this celosia kind of takes all sorts of forms. There's nothing very uniform about it, which is one of the things I like. And, well, I guess I have another big bundle there. Sometimes you have to figure out how to do things one-handed that you don't usually do. Let's see, I'll cut this one off here. So I assume most people watching this know that HPAC is going to be doing a silent auction, and that's on the 27th of September. And I'm very curious to take a look at that when that happens. And you could just go to HPAC's website, so HPAAC. I'm just continuing to build, and I think I have more than enough Solomon seal here. I would say that you could view this one from any angle. My other one is pretty much straight on, but this one you could put it somewhere in your house where you could see all sides of it. And again, I'm trying to make these push outward, and I'm trying to make my foliage push outward. Give it that really full look. We're getting mighty close to done here. This is fast. So a big bouquet isn't necessarily a more difficult bouquet. I would say this is less challenging than the other one that I did. So I'm going to see. I'm thinking I might not want this any larger than I've got it. Again. Let's see. I'm going to kind of use this as my base. Again, right here on the barn floor, going to just cut it off. See what I'm doing. My bouquets change all season long. You can tell what season it is by what's in the vase, spring through fall. Okay. And this kind of arrangement, I would usually go back and add some in, because you can see we kind of have bare spots here, and I would rather have a little bit more at the base of this. So I'm going to cut some shorties, maybe not even have to cut them. Again, I'm going to try to even this way. Sometimes it's hard to angle it, but if you can, that's all the better. Now to this side. See how I'm kind of filling out the bottom there? See, this is kind of a tough one, so I'm going to try to push this base all the way to the other side of the vase so that it doesn't hang out too far. And since I've got it, my last one, oh, I've got one more here that looks like I can throw that in the middle if I need it. And also, I didn't think I'd use all these, but at this point I'm thinking, why not add some more grape celosia into it. There's more than one kind of celosia. This one's called brain celosia, and they're growing all on one plant, which is unusual, but that's because I took it from my own seed, and it's not pure seed. I just let it come up in the spring. Long. Now, if you are at this point, you're going, I can't even see what I did. So, let me try to see what I've got here. Most likely I'd kind of make that my front, but if I add a little bit back here on this side, and I'll show you this in a second, I could make this, like I said, kind of an all sides bouquet. And notice a lot of times, by this point, I'm just measuring by looking at what I've already got in my base. Didn't I have one more? Might as well use it. Well, I could go way right in the middle here. Or I could have gone on the end by cutting it, but I think I'm going to challenge myself. Let's see if I can that in. All right. So, you know what? Sometimes stuff kind of hanging down over the edges makes the bouquet a lot more interesting. And I'll cut that one off because it was hanging up too high. All right, I'm going to put one more pink in here, and I think I'm about done. Just because kind of green and white there too much. Okay, so here we go. This could really go, like I said, all the way around. So that's the one, okay? And then, talk about clashing colors. And these are both fall bouquets. The other one is what I started out with, which was blocks of color, and then this is swirls of color. That's what I'll call it. So, again, I think I would call this beginner to intermediate because I only have 3 things here. I've got about 5 things here. And if I'm just doing a hand bouquet, I have so much ability to just keep moving it around and make it work. And that's my lesson. Thanks.